Hello, welcome to The Maze on ASO Television. I am Rosemary Kokotega. The Maze is the summary of activities from both chambers of the National Assembly within the week. It comes up every Friday at this time by 8 p.m. Glad you could join today's edition. Topping the chart, review of 2025 budget at both chambers. Fixing of February 26 for public hearing on tax reform bills by the House. Senate summoning of security intelligence chiefs over allegations that United States Agency for International Development is funding terrorism in Nigeria. Watch ASO Television on DSTV 392, StarTimes TV 127 and Free TV 507 on the UHF band 38. Remember, you can re-watch all editions of The Maze on ASO Radio and Television YouTube channel. Like our page and please do subscribe.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, StarTimes Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
You're watching The Maze on ASO Television. Time to get down to proceedings. One national discourse surfaced during the plenary at both chambers of the National Assembly within the week. This is the 2025 budget. Lawmakers, specifically on Tuesday, made some figurative corrections on the already passed budget, reducing capital expenditure component by more than 500 billion naira and raising the recurrent expenditure with the same amount for some ministries, departments, and agencies. The exercise, according to lawmakers, was predicated on some noticed errors in the budget as passed last week. Chairman, House Committee on Rules and Business, Honorable Francis Waive from Delta State, presented the motion for the review of the approved items. Let's have him moving the motion and the entire proceeding on the floor of the House.
The House recalls that the 2025 Appropriations Bill was passed by the House and the Senate on Thursday, 13 February 2025. The House observes that at the point of cleaning and realignment of the Joint Committees on Appropriations, the Joint Committees discovered some inadvertent errors in the unlisted line items passed by the House of Representatives and the Senate, recurrent in the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Police Affairs, Office of the Head of the Civil Service, Civilian Pension, Military Pensions and Gratuities, NHIS Military Retirees, DIA Civilian Staff Pension and Gratuities, Department of State Securities, Nigeria Intelligence Agency, Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, Police Pensions and Gratuities, Customs, Immigration and Prisons Pension Office, Universities Pension including arrears, Parastatals Pension and Railways Pension, NABCO, National Pension Commission, PENCOM, and other pensions. The Presidency, Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Ministry of Police Affairs, National Security Advisor, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, Federal Ministry of Transportation, Federal Ministry of Works, Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Federal Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, Federal Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. The House notes that while the overall figures of 54 trillion 990 billion 165 million 355,369 naira statutory transfer of 3 trillion 645 billion 761 million 358,925 naira, as well as debt service of 14 trillion 348 naira remained the same as past. The recurrent non-debt expenditure was increased to 13 trillion 582,673 naira, and the capital reduced to 23 trillion 339 billion 251 million 624,250 naira, changed as a result of correction and realignment made by the committee. The House is aware that the Joint Committee on Appropriation had effected these corrections in the appropriation bill, thereby making the long title to read thus: a bill for an act to authorize from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the sum of 54 trillion 990 billion 165 million 355,396 naira only, of which 3 trillion 655 billion 761 million 358,925 naira only is for statutory transfers. 14 trillion 317 billion 142 million 289,548 naira only is for debt service. 13 trillion 588 billion 9 million 682,673 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 23 trillion 439 billion 251 million 624,250 naira only is for contribution to the development fund of the capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2025. Relying on orders 1296 of the standing orders of the House as amended, the House accordingly resolves as follows: 1. Rescind its decision on the affected items as passed. 2. Direct the clerk of the House to reflect the corrections accordingly in the Appropriations Act bill. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The Deputy Chair, Rules and Business. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This bill is now recommitted to the Committee of Supply for further legislative action. Honorable colleagues, the House and Committee of Supply considered the report on a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 54 trillion 990 billion 165 million 355,396 naira only, of which 3 trillion 645 billion 761 million 358,925 925 naira only is for statutory transfers, while 14 trillion 317 billion 148 naira only is for debt service. The sum of 13 trillion 588 billion 9,682,673 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 23 trillion 439 billion 251 million 624,250 naira only is for contribution to the Development Fund for Capital Expenditure for the year ending 31st December 2025. And in so doing, we approved clauses 46, 54, 98, 177, 180, 186, 188, 190, 193, 197, 198, 199, 206, 210, 217, 218, 219, 220, and 222. The schedule, the explanatory memorandum, and the long title of the bill. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. The Leader of the House, can you move that the House suspend its rules to enable us do the third reading of this bill? Those in support of that motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk. This bill is read for the third time and passed. Honorable colleagues.
Now, similar proceeding played out on the floor of the Senate. Another major resolution at the Green Chamber within the week was the fixing of February 26 as public hearing day on the tax reform bills. Honorable James Abiodun Faleke, APC Lagos State, is to chair the session, while Honorable Saidu Abdullahi from Niger is to deputize. Speaker Abbas made the announcement during plenary on Tuesday.
The next announcement, honorable colleagues, is in respect of public hearing on our tax reform bills. The announcement reads as follows. This is to inform honorable members that public hearing on the tax reform bills is hereby scheduled as follows. Date, Wednesday, 26 February 2025. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Venue, former temporary chamber. Honorable members are enjoined to participate and contribute. I will read out the names of those who will be participating in the public hearing, and they are as follows. Abiodun Faleke, who is the chairman of the Committee on Finance, who will still chair this committee. Saidu Musa Abdullahi, who is the deputy chairman of the Committee on Finance, will remain the deputy chairman of this special committee. Honorable Ado Dogua Al-Hassan, chairman of the Northern Caucus, will be a member. Honorable Nicholas Mutu, chairman Southern Caucus, will be a member. Honorable Ahmed Idris, chairman North Central Caucus, will be a member. Honorable Mukhtar Aliu Batera, chairman Northeast Caucus, is a member. Honorable Sada Soli, chairman Northwest Caucus, is a member. We also have Honorable Igariwe Iduma Ewo, who is the chairman, Southeast Caucus, who is also a member. Honorable Fred Abedi, the chairman, South-South Caucus, is also a member. We also have additional members. I think they are members, more or less members of the committee, but let me read out their names. We have Honorable Benson Babajimi Adegoke, Honorable Alozi Munachim Ikeji. We have Mohammed Inua Basi, Honorable Iset Mark Udo, Honorable Solomon Wombo, Mala Abubakar Ghana, Itane Bene Benedict, Honorable Nwoba C. Joseph, Honorable Iyawe Isosa, Honorable Kolawole Davison Akilayo, Honorable Namchi Paul Sonde, Honorable Obika Joshua Chinedu, Honorable Abdullah El Rashid, Honorable Ikegono Oyenye UM, Honorable Madaki Dairu, Honorable Matthew Donatos Kozalio, Honorable Maazu Abdullahi Gwarzo, Honorable Ilyasu Aliu Abubakar, Honorable Sani Yakubu Noma, Honorable Abdul Malik A. Danga, Honorable Tijani Kaido Ismail, Honorable Kaleja A. Adeboye Paul, Honorable Hatsir Godwin, Honorable Ari Abdul Mumin Mohammed, Honorable Abubakar Abdul Buba Abubakar, Honorable Afoape Afolabi Muruf, Honorable Adelebe Oluwatimehen E, Honorable Omirin Emmanuel Olusanya, Honorable John Monful Dafan, Honorable Anderson Allison Igbix, Honorable Prince Ayuba Abokiza Kudampar, Honorable Zakaria Tijani Zana, Honorable Abdul Malik Zubairu, Honorable Anikwe Peter Ogogalaya, Honorable Aliu Aminu Garu, Honorable Abika K. Mary Animitete, Honorable Victor Bisong Abang, Honorable Akande Shadipe Tolulupe Tuwalula. Those are the members of the committee. So please be accordingly guided. I'm sure further announcement concerning invitation to the general public will be made in due course.
The House had, after a robust debate on the general principles on February 12, passed the bills for second reading. The bills, when become laws, aimed to streamline tax administration, protect small-scale businesses, and enhance the revenue generation capacity of sub-national governments. Speaker Abbas said the public hearing will enable the Parliament to garner stakeholders' input given the controversies that trailed the reform initiatives after the transmission of the bills to the National Assembly by President Tinubu in September 2024. More from the House members, while adopting a motion by Honorable Jafari Leko, among other resolutions, mandated Committee on Electoral Matters to investigate the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) over the delay in conducting election to fill vacant seats in the National and State Assemblies. They also mandated the committee to summon leadership of INEC to provide detailed explanations for the delay and the steps taken to rectify the situation and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative actions. We have now Honorable Jafaru on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the House notes that the Independent National Electoral Commission, established pursuant to Section 153, subsection F of Federal Republic of Nigeria Constitution as amended 1999, as a sole body vested with the responsibility of conducting election of federal, state, and area council in the Federal Capital Territory. Further note that since 2023 general election and subsequent election, there have been instances of resignation, death, or appointment of former members of both National and State House of Assembly to executive positions. Aware that Section 68 of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria provides for cessation and vacation of seat of National Assembly, whereas Section 76, subsection 2, stressed the need for by-election to be conducted within 30 days when vacancy occurs. Also aware that upon the declaration of this seat as vacant, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is obligated under the provision of Section 76, subsection 2, to conduct by-election to fill vacant positions and ensure proper representation of affected constituencies. The House is also worried that the delay in conducting the by-elections for the vacant seat is a contravention of constitutional provision, a breach of due process, and denial of affected constituents for proper presentation. Also concerned that the electoral inaction set a dangerous precedent where compliance with the Constitution and electoral law become optional rather than mandatory. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, I so move.
We put the question. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Electoral Matters for further legislative action.
Now, the condition of roads in Niger State found way on the floor of the House on Wednesday when the lawmaker representing Bida, Kacha, and Bako Federal Constituency, Honorable Seydou Musa Abdullahi, as an urgent public importance, moved a motion on the need to prevent the further incessant parking of petroleum-laden tankers in Bida, Niger State. The lawmaker, popularly known as SMA, held that the act has the potency of leading to harmful emissions and the breakdown of law and order. His motion was seconded by Honorable Alfred Elia, and all 5 prayers were adopted by the House. Honorable SMA, in his lead debate, said the motion is as a result of the loud outcry by residents of Bida who are now afraid of the possible recurrence of a tanker explosion in Niger State. Honorable SMA presents his motion.
The House notes that concerned residents and youth groups in Bida have written to the Speaker of the House of Reps through my office their reservations over the indiscriminate parking of petroleum and articulated vehicles along major roads in the town, which has resulted in severe safety and environmental risk. Further note, the recent tragic tanker explosion at Diko Junction in Niger State, which claimed numerous lives and destroyed properties, highlights the grave danger posed by improperly parked tankers and the urgent need for regulatory enforcement to prevent similar occurrences. Further concerned that, due to the hazardous situation, a tragic incident recently occurred in Bida, where a tanker crushed a nursing mother to death, while her husband suffered the loss of his legs, emphasizing the need to act urgently and decisively. Worried that failure to act promptly can result to continuous threat to lives and properties, given the volatile nature of petroleum products and the high volume of vehicular and pedestrian movement along the affected road. Further worried that the continued presence of these tankers without proper regulatory enforcement hampers economic activities and threatens public order in Bida. The House therefore resolves to urge the Federal Ministry of Works, Federal Road Safety Corps, and Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to continuously engage and sensitize Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, Petroleum Tankers Drivers Association, National Association of Road Transport Owners, and other relevant stakeholders on the need to adhere to established safety standards and to also strictly enforce regulations relating to movement of articulated vehicles, especially against indiscriminate parking of tankers along major roads in Bida. Call on the Federal Ministry of Works, Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, and the Nigerian Ministry and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to, as a matter of urgency, seek collaborative partnership with Niger State government and interested private sector investors to provide well-structured parking facilities, trailer transit parks in major towns along the route from Jeba to Suleja, particularly in Bida and Lambata, to ensure safety and smooth traffic flow. Call on the Federal Ministry of Works to prioritize and fast-track the ongoing reconstruction of the Bida, Agay, Lapai, Lambata, Suleja road to ease vehicular movement, mitigate traffic congestion, and reduce the need for tankers to park along major roads on the route. Call on the Federal Government through the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Federal Ministry of Works to prioritize the security and reconstruction of the Mokwa Makera Take in Abinyungwari Kaduna Road. Urge security agencies to enhance patrol and monitoring of these high-risk areas to prevent security breaches and possible threats to the lives of Bida residents. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committees on Works, Petroleum Resources Downstream, Federal Road Safety, Special Duties for further legislative action.
One other motion that gained attention within the week is that on addressing the intentional killing of women and girls, the crime now coined as femicide. Honorable Awaji Inambank Abiente moved the motion jointly sponsored by Honorable James Abiodun Faleke, Olga Godwin, and Manu Mansour. The House, in adopting the motion among other resolutions, urged the National Judicial Council to facilitate the designation of special divisions within existing courts at all levels to expeditiously handle homicide, femicide, and related cases. The motion.
I rise to take this motion, the national call to halt homicidal and femicidal acts in Nigeria, and I'm supported on this duty by 3 of my colleagues. Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, the House notes that the right to life is a fundamental human right guaranteed by the Constitution, while homicide, including murder, manslaughter, and other violent crimes leading to the termination of life, have been on the rise across the country, provoking demand for justice. The House also notes that femicide, which is the intentional killing of women and girls due to their gender, has become a significant concern with several reported cases in recent years. The House is disturbed by the following tragic cases, among several others: that in February 2020, one patient at Dibe was killed by her boyfriend in Benin after a brief argument. In May 2020, Vera Uwaila Umozua, a 100-level microbiology student of the University of Benin, was raped and murdered in a church. Collins Ujebulem, one of the suspects, claimed that a woman paid them to kill her for rituals. In June 2020, Barakat Bello, an 18-year-old student in Ibadan, was raped and stabbed to death. September 2020, 11-year-old Favor Okechukwu was gang-raped and killed by 4 men in Lagos. April 2021, in Yobong Umorem, a fresh graduate was raped and murdered by a man posing as a job interviewer in Uyo. December 2021, Hanif Abubakar, a 5-year-old child, was kidnapped, poisoned, and murdered by her school proprietor in Kano. February 2022, the fashion designer Bamise Ayanwole was murdered after boarding a BRT bus in Lagos. April 2022, Ifeanyi Njoku killed his girlfriend for money rituals. July 2022, Eunice Chioma Igwike abducted, killed, and butchered by human parts dealers. September 2022, a Chinese national, Mr. Frank, murdered his Nigerian girlfriend, Omul Kasam Buhari. July 2023, Benjamin Best murdered his girlfriend, Augusta Osedion, a 300-level student at the University of Port Harcourt. In August 2023, Ogenefe Jiro Reha was killed by her boyfriend for ritual purposes. October 2023, Okoligwe Demion Chinemerem killed Justina Otuene Nkang, a fellow student at the University of Port Harcourt. May 2024, Elisha was arrested for killing his lover, Edima, in a ritual murder. In June 2024, Glory Adekolure was raped and killed in Benin. August 2024, Fatai Mogaji stabbed his girlfriend to death, while Mojisola Awesu was murdered in a hotel. September 2024, Jeremiah Sampson killed Abigail Damilola, a university student, and buried her body. January 2025, the recent killing of Salome Adaidu, a National Youth Corps member in Nasarawa State, is a continuation of the trend. And alarmed by the killing of Chioma Nwanna, who was set ablaze by her husband in Anambra after a heated argument. The list is endless. Distraught by the delays in the prosecution of homicide cases, which have caused prolonged pre-trial detentions, which is overcrowding the correctional facilities, and loss of crucial evidence, eroding public faith in the judicial system. Concerned that the slow and ineffective justice system allows perpetrators to gain media attention, some have become beauty pageant winners, while trials for serious crimes like homicide are prolonged. For example, in the case of Chidinma Ojukwu, under trial for the murder of Osifo Ataga, continues to gain publicity. And the notorious kidnapper, Evans, facing trial for murder, has even been awarded scholarship to continue his studies. Aware that the National Judicial Council is responsible for overseeing the judiciary and improving the efficiency of the judicial process. Convinced that establishing special divisions within existing courts with exclusive jurisdiction over homicide and related cases will expedite justice, reduce backlogs, and restore public confidence in the legal system. Also convinced that ethical enlightenment through public awareness campaigns focusing on instilling ethical values and respect for human life and the integration of emotional intelligence programs to help young people develop non-violent problem-solving skills could help curb this menace. I am urging and inviting my colleagues to resolve. Also urge relevant law enforcement agencies to, as a matter of fact and urgency, prioritize homicide investigations and ensure thorough prosecution of offenders. Further urge religious organizations, the National Orientation Agency, and other advocacy groups to initiate public awareness campaigns focusing on instilling ethical values and respect for human life, and to promote programs that educate young people on the dangers of ritual killings, murder, and manslaughter. Mandate the committees on judiciary and human rights to liaise with the National Judicial Council and other relevant stakeholders to monitor the implementation of this resolution and report progress at intervals of 3 weeks. I so move.
Today, again, I want to thank the sponsors of this motion for bringing it to the limelight. Mr. Speaker, at this point, and my honorable colleagues, I want to call for all hands to be on deck. Those that don't have daughters have sisters. Those that don't have sisters have mothers. I think this is a collective responsibility of all Nigerian men, of all Nigerian fathers and mothers, to take this as a matter of urgency to protect our women. It does not matter if that woman or that girl is your child. But when you find something that is not right, whether it's in the hotel room, you can be a guest, but when you find something or movement that is not normal, we should say something.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, a case similar to this has taken place in my constituency over the weekend when a Hafsa Lawal Adefalu, the daughter of a prominent stakeholder of the APC, the granddaughter, was brutally butchered for alleged ritual purposes. This barbaric and inhumane practice not only robs us of innocent lives, but also undermines the very fabric of our society. We must act decisively to ensure that these heinous crimes are met with the full force of the law. Our justice system must serve as both a deterrent and a beacon of hope for the vulnerable. I call on this House to prioritize stricter legislation, improve law enforcement capacity, and invest in public awareness campaigns to eradicate the culture and silence surrounding these atrocities.
Mr. Speaker, as a rider towards Honorable Shagaya, alongside Right Honorable Gagdi mentioned, Mr. Speaker, I will stick to the 1 minute given to us. I think religious organizations and the National Orientation Agency, advocating them for public awareness is not enough. I could remember when Kano was on hot fire, Mr. Speaker, when the young Hanifa was murdered, followed by Kulsum, who was murdered by a foreigner. And those murderers are there in our custodial center enjoying the government money, enjoying the food of the government. As mentioned by Right Honorable Abiante, one of them from South was given a scholarship to further his studies after murdering a lady. Mr. Speaker, I think what we should put more concern about is the implementation. Maybe revisiting the previous cases and ensure implementation so that such cases could not happen again in this country.
Mr. Speaker, while also thanking the movers of this motion for this very important issue they are brought into discussion, I just want to put two perspectives The first one is the need for us as a country to deepen our security awareness education. Mr. Speaker, in most cases when things like this happen, people who perpetrate this evil feast on the innocence of their victim. And the victims may be thinking that they are well-meaning individuals or persons fall easily into their trap. And one of the things that nations of the world have done to curb cases like this is to ensure that right from primary education level, there are security awareness education, which lets persons grow up knowing when there are red flags in communication, red flags in relationship, red flags in invitation, so that they can identify these pitfalls and avoid falling into them in the course of life. The second issue, Mr. Speaker, has to do with the need for us to enforce our rules, laws, and regulations, especially with regards to the hospitality industry. Mr. Speaker, this is about the only country I know in the world where you can lodge into a hotel without proper identification. It doesn't happen in any other place.
Mr. Speaker, my amendment is to add the Ministry of Women Affairs in Nigeria.
The Ministry of what?
Women Affairs.
Okay.
In this orientation and education of our young girls.
Let me guide you a little.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Why don't you also include the Committee on Women Affairs among the committees?
Perfect. Perfect.
To at least liaise with NJC. Is that okay?
It's okay, Mr. Speaker.
Inclusion of Committee on Women Affairs among the committees to be referred to.
That's okay.
Any seconder to this amendment?
I rise to second the amendment as moved by our colleague. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This amendment should say aye. Those against should say nay. That is it. So those in support of this motion as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. That is it. This motion is referred to the Committees on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Women Affairs for further legislative action.
Well, a couple of other issues as the border on security, health, and stability of the nation were also considered, either as motions, petitions, and bills on the floor within the week. However, we could only feature some top ones for lack of time. From the floor of the Senate, one major resolution there within the week was the summoning of security intelligence chiefs over allegations that the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, is funding terrorism in Nigeria. This was via an order of urgent national security raised by Senator Ali Ndume, representing Borno South Senatorial District during plenary. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, while upholding the resolution, also as amended, cautioned against discussing sensitive security matters in public. Let's have it.
And observes that the monumental devastation caused by Boko Haram in this country should be a matter of concern, as it has dented the image of this country among the Committee of Nations for allegations to begin to emerge at this point in time that some international organizations are behind this unwholesome act. There is the urgent need for steps to be taken by the federal government to unravel the mystery behind this whole episode.
It is very, very serious, and it has gone viral globally, and therefore we need to do these things with some facts provided by these various security agencies at a closed-door session. Mr. President, with all due respect, this is my stand on this matter. It is almost impossible to do justice to this particular matter on a debate, in a plenary like this.
Political metamorphosis. It's almost like one political party taking over from another political party, and allegations flying left, right, center. It's only through thorough investigation that the truth can be established. Even America has not taken the allegation hook, line, and sinker. They are investigating. So Nigeria must also investigate to be sure, because we won't just keep quiet. If it is true that U.S. aid have been funding Boko Haram in Nigeria, we have no business allowing them to have offices in Nigeria. So before we can take decisive steps and also ask for recompense, automatically we must go deeper into the issue. So it's important that we get briefed by our intelligence community. The Senate should immediately invite the National Security Advisor, the Director General of the Nigerian Intelligence Agency, the Director General of the DSS, the Director General of the DIA, to brief the Senate in a closed session on the veracity or otherwise of these very serious allegations. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Similar motion was also on the floor of the House on Thursday.
The House notes with grave concern the recent statement by a U.S. Congressman Scott Perry, allegedly that the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has been involved in sponsorship of Boko Haram and other terrorist organizations in countries where the different group operated. Note that Scott Perry made this claim during the inaugural meeting of the subcommittee on delivering on government efficiency, where he claimed that $697 million were spent annually, plus shipment of cash funds in Madaras, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, etc. Mr. Speaker, aware that from 2022 to 2024, Nigeria has received a total of approximately $2.7 billion from USAID, of which $1.469 trillion was allocated for health, $887 million for humanitarian services, $141.77 million for economic development, $41.75 million for education, and $16.39 million for peace and security. The remaining funds directed towards programs support democracy, human rights, governance, and other sectors. Further note that the allegation is, if true, raises serious national and international security concern and questions about external influence on Nigerians' fight against insecurity, which had led to significant loss of lives and destruction of properties and displacement of over 1 million citizens over the years. Concerned, Mr. Speaker, that such allegation, if not thoroughly investigated, could undermine Nigerian sovereignty, compromise national security efforts, and diminish public confidence in the fight against terrorism. The House resolved to request the federal government to engage with the U.S. government through the House Committee on Foreign Affairs to obtain a formal clarification on the matter. Second, urge the House to mandate the relevant committees of national security, defense intelligence, foreign affairs, and intergovernmental affairs to investigate the activities. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, to summon the National Security Advisor, the Director General of the State Security Service, DSS, the Director of National Intelligence Agency, NIA, the Director of Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, and Minister of Budget and Economic Planning to appear before the committee on peace building and social cohesion over allegations of funding to terrorist group by United States Agency for International Development, USAID. Mandate a committee on peace building, social cohesion to carry out immediate and thorough investigation on the allegations against USAID and other NGOs and report within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Contribution? Mr. Speaker, the congressman that spoke about this matter is a ranking member in the Congress, so he knew what he was doing. Mr. Speaker, this betrays my point. When I brought a bill on this floor, the bill went to second reading. But for some reasons, in order to regulate and manage and observe these NGOs, these development agencies, and the CSOs, for some reasons, this bill is not yet slated. Perhaps we wouldn't have been where we are now, because it would have been given the Chief of General Staff complained about the involvement of development agencies, the NGOs, the CSOs in the affairs and the security of this country. So it is a matter that the Parliament should take seriously.
Mr. Speaker, this matter at hand is rather worrying when an agency cloaks itself with good deeds and an allegation of this kind of weight is brought upon them. It's rather disturbing. We cannot have a situation where the people that we seem to believe to be helping us are the ones that are actually hurting us. Hurting our national security, impacting on our economic stability. Mr. Speaker, when a congressman in America speaks, you have to hold it as something that has some sort of weight. Bearing in mind this same agency is from their own nation.
Mr. Speaker, this matter is a very, very serious matter that requires a special ad hoc committee, not just to investigate what the congressman have said, but to investigate all non-governmental organizations in Nigeria. Because if you go to Maiduguri, go to their airport, each time you will see at least 2 to 3 private jets parked there owned by NGOs. Most of the offices in Maiduguri are owned by NGOs. And Yobe, what are they doing there? And the insurgency is mostly in the north. What are they doing there? My honorable colleagues, we cannot take this as a mere allegation. We must stand as a nation, a sovereign nation, to defend this country.
Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I must commend the mover of this motion because the motion is very important and urgent enough to take. Mr. Speaker, in his prayers, I heard him saying to summon the NSA. Instead of summoning, I think we should invite the NSA because we are going to set an ad hoc committee to investigate. It's to invite him, sir, instead of summoning him. Thank you. I so amend.
An information: not too long ago, U.S. Congressman Scott Perry alleged that U.S. aid was funding terrorist organizations, including Boko Haram. The issue received immediate global attention, especially in Africa and other less developed nations, including Nigeria, which receives aid from U.S. aid. Nigeria, we know, has battled Boko Haram since 2009, leading to displacement of over 2.5 million people and thousands of lives lost, particularly in the northeastern states of Borno and Yobe. I'm afraid that's how much we can accommodate on today's edition. The Maze returns Friday next week at 8 p.m. In the meantime, you can watch all previous editions on our YouTube channel, ASO Radio and Television. Like our page and please do subscribe. I am Rosemary Ukokotega. Bye-bye.